Welcome to the Star Wars Reporter podcast.
Yay.
Yay. We've been so excited to do this since Friday for some odd reason, but just wanted to welcome you to the official podcast of StarWarsReporter.com. Tonight we're going to talk about one nerdy thing and one nerdy thing only. That's Chapter 16 of The Mandalorian. But first, I'm going to introduce you to the gang of scoundrels, or whatever they want to call themselves. So tonight, full group, we have Kyle Jen.
You.
And Revenge of the Jason. I like that name.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Oh,
I love it.
A little foreshadowing, maybe. A little bit of foreshadowing.
Yes, my porgs, Ewoks, and Gungans. How are you all doing?
Porgs.
Yeah. And Trooper Todd.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me back.
Well, we voted on it, and it was a split vote, but
I'm sure it was.
And I am Wookie Steve, the very tired, had my tooth pulled, a molar in the back pulled today, so I'm even more tired looking than normal. So I'm trying to talk as best. But welcome, everyone. Lots to talk about, especially a little episode. Is that a spoiler I just did?
That might be a spoiler, but if you haven't watched it by now,
Yeah.
turn
Too
off.
bad for you.
Disclaimer: spoilers going forward.
Too bad for them. Literally, I think the only thing I really want to get into, or I don't know where a good spot to start. We could do the normal way of how the episode started, how it went, how this happened, or we can just get to the big news and work our way back.
It's your barbecue, man. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. How about
That's my opinion. Whatever. Jen, we can go. Jen's really smart, so we can start with her. Whatever she wants to do. But how do you want to do this, Jen? There you go.
Oh man, no. Well, okay. So if you're gonna throw it to me, I'm gonna talk about the appearance of the X-wing. Like, go right there. Go right to the big moment, and then we'll talk all about all the other.
Let's just pop the cork on the champagne bottle. Let's go.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I know we all kind of had different reactions a little bit here, but mentally, I had prepared myself for it to be Ezra, like that was going to show up, because all these other little Rebels characters that had showed up, and it was like, yeah, they're going to throw in another Rebels, Jedi or something like that. In my brain, I was like, yeah, it's going to be Ezra. Yeah, whatever. And like the X-Wing shows up, and I'm like, is it Luke? Nah, it's not Luke. Like, yeah, it's like, and it shows up. And then, the robe, the hooded thing comes out, and I was like, it's Luke. And like, no, it could still be Ezra. Like, my brain is like, doing the whole, like, the processes.
You're in denial. You're basically in denial, right?
I was having that whole, like, mental breakdown kind of thing. Yeah, like, kind of thing. And, like, the green lightsaber ignites. And I was still like, Ezra could have a green lightsaber. Like, at that point, I was still, and then you see the gloved hand, and at that point, I was like,
but even the belt buckle, like everything was the same. Like it's the belt, like
I know, but like my brain up until that moment, up until that exact like moment of the gloved hand holding the green lightsaber, like I was still ready to be like, it could be someone else, and then at that point. I was telling Jason about this, like after the episode and stuff, where I didn't even realize that I was crying. Like it wasn't even like my Ahsoka, my Bo-Katan fangirl, like screaming, crying. Like this was like, I had tears coming down and didn't even like realize until I was like, oh God, like I'm crying, kind of like that kind of reaction.
Yep.
And like I said out loud, I was like, oh, there he is. Like that was my reaction. It was like, of course he's here. Like, of course Luke came. Like, that was my like childhood regression. Like my brain went through all those steps of it can't be. And then it like full immediate acceptance. And I was a tiny child again. And Luke was there. And he was going to save the day. And everything was going to be okay. Like, it was just like, it was so crazy. Like all those like things that my brain went through, and it was the coolest experience. Like it was just such a neat, like I am so grateful to Filoni and and to Favreau and stuff, like just for that kind of I mean, obviously I love The Mandalorian, but it was such a neat experience to have in this episode, to go through that and that kind of feeling of, being right back. Like, oh, Luke's here. It's okay. Everything's fine. Like,
It was the scene that the entire
That's
fan
perfectly.
base desperately needed. I think.
Yeah.
Like that like now that it did happen, it's like that had to happen.
Yeah.
And thank goodness it did, really, honestly. I mean, that scene just bridged the gap between, half the fan base being like, "Ugh!" and
Obviously,
now
it was everything that everyone wanted, right? I mean, that was the thing.
Okay, maybe we're going to be all right after all. Maybe it's going to be, everything's going to be okay now, maybe. Huge.
Well,
Huge.
I was joking with a friend of mine, a couple days ago and stuff, and he was joking like for years, and everyone was, we can't do that. We can't show you Luke in his prime. Like, we can't. And then somebody was finally like, hit the button, like finally, like, just like, let it happen or whatever, finally somebody just said whatever,
That's a whole conversation too that I had thought about too, like how Star Wars, we've held back like a lot, like we've never really seen Vader in his prime. And everyone's like, no, you don't show it. And then Rogue One shows Vader, and we all go, oh my God. I think, and the Luke scene shows too, like, you can take the cover off of some of this stuff. We're dying for it, actually. I think. Give us Luke in his prime. Give us Vader. I don't know. It's not like it was 10 years ago where we have to retain the mystery and not with everything.
Well, after what the Last Jedi did with Luke, right? Which is really underwhelming, right? I know he had the big thing, but it's all an image projection. It just wasn't really badass, right? No, here you have the scene that just really takes the shot sequence out of the Rogue One with Darth Vader down the hallway and just inserts Luke Skywalker with all these stormtrooper drones, right? And it was amazing. It was epic. It was what everybody wanted to see Luke Skywalker to be, right? It's just everything. It was pretty phenomenal. And of course, Jem, you're in denial when you saw the X-Wing. Like, for me, quite frankly, when the show, it got to the point in the episode, I'm going to go back a little bit here, where not that I was disappointed with the show, but I was a little bit going, everything seems so easy. Then the drones come back. I can't remember what they're called. They're called shock troopers.
Dark troopers.
They come back on, okay, now this is now amplified again, right? So I totally didn't even think of it until I saw the X-Wing. Then it went, oh, this is the Jedi that got called out. And as soon as I saw the X-Wing, I knew, like, to me, I went, it has to be Luke. We were thinking, was it going to be Mace Windu? Was it going to be Luke? Was it going to be something Ezra? Like, I don't know Ezra that well from Rebels, but I just, as soon as I saw the X-Wing, there was no question who it was. Then as soon as you see the black, you're like, well, this is Luke. Then you saw the belt buckle right when he went for the lightsaber, and I didn't even need to see the glove. I just knew it was the entire outfit from Return of the Jedi. And then I was like, oh, here comes Luke. And then as soon as the lightsaber lit, it's like, well, you can tell by when you saw the lightsaber too in his hand, they really did a good job showing it, going, okay, this is it. And then the green blade comes out, and again, and then he does his thing. It was just wow.
Yeah,
exactly, right.
That moment.
Jason? It was just wow, just, and to the point where, like I was saying, I was a little disappointed because to me everything was so easy for them to get through the ship to the command center of the ship. I know it's a TV show and they're speeding things up to get to the story, but that's one thing they didn't skip on when Luke came out. I know they're making room for that Luke scene, which was, like I said, just every fanboy's wet dream sort of thing. it was pretty amazing. Is what it was.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, actually. And the episode, it was amazing. It's amazing. The series has been great. But yeah, if you can, if we were to kind of nitpick, I kind of thought the same thing, because one thing this episode, before the Luke scene, before even the Dark Troopers, when I was watching this episode, I'm like, and it's been actually this show, it's been all of Star Wars, of course, but I'm like, these stormtroopers are not even remote. I mean, this episode was maybe the worst for that, where it was a shooting gallery with zero threat from the stormtroopers. They were as pathetic as ever. They were just blasting like dozens of them with no problem at all. And I was just kind of laughing. I'm like, all right, the stormtrooper, but I'm like, it's almost that's a little too. It's a little too much now. Like, there should be some kind of threat. Somebody should get shot in the arm and they got to deal with it or something. I'm like, they were mowing stuff down to a level that even for Star Wars, I'm like, that's not really realistic. And then the entire episode, I actually thought the same thing. I loved the story points. I loved Gideon was freaking amazing in this, that dude. And so much was awesome. But I totally agree. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was going to be a battle just to find the ship. Like, I thought, they're going to have trouble to get the ship and then to actually infiltrate it. And I agree, actually. It was still so great, but it was all way too easy, But at least for the Mandalorian himself, it wasn't as much because he did have a pretty good fight with that one Dark Trooper.
Yeah. He kind of got beaten really, really good there.
Yeah, I thought it was, I compared it to like watching Die Hard. You watch the first Die Hard, John McClane's getting hurt constantly. You feel like he's always in danger. You watch Die Hard 5, right? Like there's no remotely nothing's going to hurt. Like, he wasn't going to hurt ever. Like, just kind of walk through everything. You never really felt threatened at all that he's in danger, and that's why I felt with our heroes walking through the ship. There's just there's no anxiety. There's no roller coaster ride. You never really feel like they're in any kind of trouble at all. I just don't think that was as realistic.
True.
But again, eating it up for the story.
True. Now, I think they semi kind of set that up so fans would go, maybe that's why it's easy, because didn't they say at one point the clone scientist said it's kind of a skeleton crew? They only had like, what was it, 300 like personnel on the ship in total, and it's like a Star Destroyer, so it should be like way more.
Yeah, he said there's like
2,000.
Yeah, he said it was really skeleton. Yeah,
it was really small. So maybe, I don't know. I'm making excuses. I totally get what you're saying.
They did establish too that basically blasters are useless against Beskar. So that kind of thing. So you have that with, I don't know if Bo-Katan have they established that hers is Beskar, her armor? I don't know.
I think didn't she get? Was it her that got shot by Gideon?
No, that's the other one gets shot, but I don't know her name. But that kind of thing. But Cara Dune was like straight up charging with no face armor, no armor, that kind of thing. So there was some like, okay, yeah,
And
she
was kind of like there.
Right? She's a big woman.
She's awesome, but you don't go charging in a blaster fire without,
Yeah. When she hit, she had the gun that was jammed and she was hitting.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It was really cool.
I don't understand how a light weapon jams like a projectile weapon that we have. Like, I thought that was kind of weird. Where she's like, "Oh, it's jammed," and she's trying to make it. Like, I don't know if she could have said it's malfunctioning or something, but she said it jammed.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not projectile, but I just thought it was funny. It's for the story, so she could like
bang around.
so they could kind of slow her down.
Yeah,
it's still good, but again, like the thing is, she wasn't even like they were all in the open, right? They weren't hiding.
Yeah.
They're just walking right down the platform. Like, you look at Star Wars and New Hope, right? You have Han and Luke and Leia all in the prisoner cell, right? They're all hiding and come out shooting. Like it was, plausible they're going to get hit.
And they're not always they're not always hitting when they were just shooting.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't mean that they were hitting every stormtrooper, just like the stormtroopers weren't hitting them. But for me, sorry, go.
It's your turn, Steve.
Your turn.
No, I was just gonna say I feel really stupid because when the X-wing was flying by, some strange reason I said, "Oh, okay, so I love the actor and the character, but are they going to bring back Captain Teva for this? Like, what's he going to end up doing in this?" It made even when it was coming in, and they're like, "Oh, there's no response," and I still
imagine it was him revealed.
I know. So I was honestly thinking that even when I saw the Dark Cloak walking, I thought, okay, because I remember, guys, last week telling you guys they will never put Luke Skywalker in this because how could they do it? I don't think that they're much fans of Luke Skywalker, maybe working at Disney, but and I thought, how are they going to do that, right? Like, there's been no talk of this, and it was until like what you guys said. The gloved hand with the green lightsaber, and I was home alone, right? my kids went to school, my wife went to work, I'm working from home, and I jumped off my couch, and I was yelling like it was the last winning play in the Super Bowl. Like I was yelling, my throat hurt, and I just couldn't believe all the stuff, like what you guys were saying, that would have been awesome to see in episode 8 and 9, or even like I think I was telling Jen before we went live, like maybe the next movie after Return of the Jedi, you know, that maybe Lucas had planned a couple years, right? All that would have been really cool to see. So I was just freaking out. And then I'll admit it, I think I told you guys in the chat, I got a little semi weepy, and because it was kind of like, and I don't want it to be like a cliche. I kept saying that before we went live, like, here comes the cliche episode. But it isn't a cliche. Like, whenever I think of myself having that emotion, I'm thinking, I don't want to be those people that are like reacting to a trailer and crying. Not that, you know, not that that's bad. It's just that I don't want to feel that I'm piling on to that to get some kind of attention. But it was kind of like this 43-year circle that should have happened previously, that finally came back. And like what Jen was saying, everything's going to be okay. Luke Skywalker's here, right? Luke Skywalker is Star Wars, period. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean Ben Kenobi's bad or Anakin or any of these things, but Star Wars is Luke Skywalker, period.
He's been
with a lot of other cool,
for sure.
In my opinion, I know there's Han and there's Leia and everything, but that's what it meant for me. And Mark Hamill. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, right? I said they can never do a deep fake because screw that, right? Like the actor's still alive. What the hell? And they used him. So, and he, again, the master of all secrets, kept this a secret for a year. So, and so I feel kind of stupid. It wasn't until the glove and the lightsaber, I was thinking that Captain Teva was coming to like do something.
Kim's convenience there. He comes in. And
but I was like,
Ezra. His Marshall badge, like, hey guys.
He's like with his ticket thing. So I'm gonna start writing you guys some tickets. You know,
it was epic, right? I must admit, Stephen, I thought it was when I first saw the X-Wing 2. So I should have. I'm gonna retract. I did think it was Mr. Kim Convenience there, sort of thing. But then as soon as he didn't reply, I knew for a fact that's when they didn't reply. That's when I really dove in that. I thought it was Luke at that point in time, and then I was pleasantly surprised.
And they really pushed it with, like, you know, the ladies all came in and killed all the stormtroopers, and then that whole scene where they're not sure who's coming, and all the Death Troopers stop and start getting ready, and Gideon's face when it all started unfolding, like when Luke, as we know, was now coming towards where they were. There's that fear in Gideon's face, because previously Gideon has been smarmy, conceited, very sure
Smug.
of himself.
Oh
just everything, right? Like a perfect perfect Imperial officer, right? Or former, or wherever he is now. But you could just see that he knew what was coming. No one else knew what was coming, right? And it was amazing how they showed that one Death Trooper just smacking down Mando, of how powerful these things were. And Luke just like really calmly just walked through them like this kung fu master in the movie. And it was just like, it was so exciting. And just anyways, don't get me do my ugly face cry again.
To me, it was like watching Rogue One, which I thought was one of the better Star Wars movies. And that scene with Darth Vader down the hallway, like everybody says, it's one of the most amazing cinematic things in the Star Wars franchise. And then this really, like I said before, encapsulated that whole entire feeling. Just seeing it with the son do the exact same thing, walk right through with no problem whatsoever. And where I felt the women and Mando and them all going through the ship as unrealistic, here I had no problem. I could buy in, no problem. That this was no problem for the Jedi Master Luke Skywalker.
Well, someone put that together. I showed you guys. Someone put together the not side by side, but the top bottom of Vader. Here, let me just play this because this is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, maybe it was purposely done to kind of show an homage.
It was purple. I can guarantee it was purposely done.
It was, no,
there's so many shots, like shot for shot almost. It's like they paid homage to that sequence so that everybody knows that this is one badass guy that should be, wary of for sure.
And then that scene where he takes out all the Death Troopers, and then he's just standing at the door. He's not cutting through it. He's not forcing anything. He's just waiting, right? And then they finally like, hey, let's open it. So I just thought it was cool that he just waited at the door, like, okay, I'm here, open up, right? And then that whole picture, right, of him coming through.
So cool.
It's just
like he didn't want to make sure he wasn't threatening them, right? He wasn't trying to threaten them at all, right? And he knew that they weren't a concern to him. Right, so he played it cool. And I'll wait for them to open the door.
And it's so funny. Mando's like, "Are you a Jedi?" It's like, I don't know. Kill all 50 of those Death Troopers.
Bo-Katan was familiar with the Jedi, like extremely familiar with Jedi. She fought alongside them in many circumstances, actually. Going back to War of the Rebels, so she knew what was happening. Like she's like the one who says like a Jedi or whatever. Like she's got the line because she's like, oh damn, you're like, sorry, I don't know.
You're gonna see something spectacular right here.
I said a bad word, but but that kind of thing. Like she's the one who gets that line because she's the only one who like actually knows what's happening. Like to everyone else, it's like, oh, it's a space wizard, like that kind of, they've never seen one. It's stuff of legend. Like the Mandalorian doesn't know what they are. Like, what I mean? Ahsoka's the first ones he's ever seen, right? And he doesn't really know what she can do. He just kind of meets her on a planet and sees she's got laser swords and kind of sees that she's a good fighter. Like he doesn't really understand. And I think it's just really cool, like that moment that everyone on the bridge doesn't really understand what's happening. You have Moff Gideon obviously kind of has an idea, but you have Bo-Katan really knows, but everyone else on there is kind of has that. Oh no!
They're confused, right? They're like, what is now coming? Right?
They're thinking of more as a threat, really. Just seeing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they don't open the doors because it's like this dude just.
That is
wiped out everything. Yeah,
exactly.
So I really like. And what did you guys think of here? I'll just put this up. The deep fake.
I think it was beautiful. It did not bother me. I know some people on the internet are all grumpy about the CGI. I thought it was great. Whatever. Maybe my TV is just terrible. Maybe I just have a really bad TV and I don't know.
This is one point I would love to bring up. Like for one thing, this part of the episode was a very emotional part for a lot of people. And just so you know, I want to set this up. I cry at everything. My kids make fun of me. We were watching a Hallmark Christmas movie, which I think terrible. But again, I still cry at something. Relationships, love. I cry. Commercials, when they're good, I cry. There's a lot of movies I cry. But in this episode, when this is coming, okay, I'm prepared for it. I didn't shed one tear and I think it's because the CGI. Not saying it wasn't good. The lips moving it just took me right out of the scene. Again, I'm not one of those people. I'm not hating it because it is effective for the storyline, but because I work in the industry, I work in the television industry and film industry. Where things go wrong, it's always the lips. If you look at his lips, it's so bad.
So don't look at his lips.
Well, I'm sorry.
His lips.
Sorry.
Hey, we have a couple of people in the chat. One person said, just want to give a shout out to Jason. Love the podcast, brother. And Buffy Lynn Martinelli.
She thought it was a
Look
good
at my
homage.
English.
Definitely a homage that Luke scene with the Darth Vader. Yeah. I think Buffy's right. But yeah, so unfortunately I didn't shed a tear at all. I'm like, this is weird because I should be crying because, like I said, I cry at everything. Like, put on Spider-Man 2, I'm crying all the way through it. Or Infinity War, like from beginning to end, when things are coming up, I'm start crying. Just it's the relationship, it's powerful. I get moved so easily. It's gotten worse as a parent, and the older my kids get, I get more and more weepy at anything. So the fact that I didn't shed a tear, but again, I still liked it, resolved it, sort of thing. But the only thing I can think of, it was the CGI lips that really threw me off.
Well, Buffy agrees with you, Todd. Buffy agrees with you, Todd.
And actually, and again, I'm not saying I ruined the episode. I'm not being a hater. I think they did a fantastic job. But to me, the lips were worse than Superman's removing the mustache in Justice League. It was worse than that. It was, guys. I'm sorry. It was.
How dare you?
Dude, I love Star Wars way more than I like Justice League. But I'm sorry. The Superman's mustache removal was way better than Luke's lip talking. 100%. Like,
is that what it is?
Better.
When he talks? Is that what?
Yes, when he talks. If you watch, I watch these guys called Corridor Crew. They're CGI specialists, and they break down the face stuff all the time. If you watch Thanos talk compared to the Luke talk, right? Thanos looks like real. The skin moves. If you look at nothing moves correctly. There's no muscle definition in the lips, and that's what really ruins it. Like they ripped apart Princess Leia. They ripped apart Grand Moff Tarkin, right? And Rogue One, right? Though that was really good compared to this. It looked like to me, it looked like a cutscene from a video game from PS4. The lips talking.
Wow.
I'm not trying to be critical. Like,
why do you hate Luke so much?
I don't hate Luke. I still thought he was really good, guys.
I think I looked at his eyes, and my TV is not great. So.
I think I was good.
Yeah, it's funny because I was kind of looking. I was mesmerized by look at the perfect Return of the Jedi hairdo.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really good. It's just the lips. Again.
I wish you wouldn't have told me because now I'm going to be looking.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like Buffy doesn't agree with me. The lips threw her off too. Because again, you have to understand. All I do is I work on visual effects. So I learn. I try and I'm terrible. I'm terrible at visual effects, but I'm not bad. So, and I'm trying to learn and get better. Now, I can't do a CGI face. I can't even come close to that. I do small little things. But so I'm learning. I watch experts do it, and they talk about what works and what doesn't work. So when I see it, I can't unsee it, if that makes sense to you. So
no, for sure. It would be different for someone like you that works in that, in that field where you could see it, right? It's like an artist seeing something in the picture where we go, oh, that's really cool, but you might see it.
I guarantee Filoni and Favreau were probably going, I wish we had more of a time and more budget on that. I'm pretty sure they'll look back on this next season. If you ask them directly, they'll probably say they wish they had more time to perfect it. Because
it's all right. A special edition will come out in a year, and they'll fix it.
He'll say malarkey or whatever he says. But
I'm sorry,
guys, I didn't mean to ruin the scene, but I did love it. But that's the only thing I can figure out why I didn't cry. Because I cry at everything.
I'm a crier
too.
Well,
what's interesting is that you might have just identified why. Some people may have even saw it and been like, nah, it looks off. The CGI was cool, but the CGI. They may not have noticed why. You just broke down maybe why some people noticed it. So
Yeah,
I think I was crying before that. So maybe it's just kind of carried over.
My reaction the whole time was, I was like, no way. I was like, no way, man, no. Because the X-wing came in and it looked like Luke's X-wing. Like it was
Yes,
it was slightly off-colored and the red line on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm like, oh my god, no, oh my god, oh no. And I'm just watching the whole thing and I'm like, no. I knowing it was him, but just it can't be though. It would be too awesome. No. And then the reveal, and I lost.
It's never going to happen.
I'm sure if you go frame by frame, you'll see some seaweed sticking around it still from Dagobah. Sure.
Then the thing we haven't talked about though. What about R2? Did you have any kind of reaction to seeing R2? Yeah,
that I did not expect. I couldn't believe it when he came around the corner. Of course, he was going to be with Luke.
I know, right?
So, and then there's two thoughts there that people are saying, like when R2 comes in, and then he Grogu releases from the leg of Mando and goes over to him, and R2 gets all excited and shakes, and people are thinking, is it that R2 recognized Grogu from the Jedi Temple because he was there during Order 66, or vice versa, or both at the same time? That's why he let go of Mando's leg, and it's like, oh, and went over to him, and did they recognize each other? Because I mean, Grogu's way older than Luke at that point. Like Luke is in his 20s or something, mid to late 20s, and Grogu's 50.
Yep. Huh.
So it's really interesting. What did you guys like? Again, seeing the only thing missing would have been like C-3PO or something, but
C-3PO went way too far. But,
yeah.
I didn't mind. I didn't expect to see R2, but again, like you're saying, of course R2 would be there because who else is his co-pilot inside the X-wing, right? It just makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with that at all. Yeah, it was fine. I thought maybe it was too much all of a sudden. Not that it's too much. I don't know.
It didn't make your heart happy. It was.
I don't know why. Like I said, I should like the fact that Mando took off his mask off. He had tears. Like those are the key points where it makes me blubber like a little baby. And nothing. Not that it wasn't emotional. Not that I wasn't buying into the story. I cared, but I just don't know.
I think, Todd, maybe you died a little inside, like the Grinch, man. I'm just kidding.
If I watch Return, I guarantee you, if I watch Return of the Jedi, I will bawl. When Han Solo died, I bawled. When Leia died, I didn't bawl. But when Chewie's reaction, I bawled. Okay, in the theater with my best friend beside me, like, who's not crying. I have my 3D glasses on. The tears are coming underneath. So I'm being very, very frank and transparent with you people, right? Why didn't I cry at this scene? It makes no sense. If you know me, like I guarantee if we were watching with my kids haven't watched it, but if they did, they would be looking at me. Oh, let's see Dad cry because we make fun of him. They would have looked at me because they would have built up to that, and I didn't cry.
Why is that, Todd? Tell us about your mother.
Well, tomorrow I'm gonna watch Return of the Jedi and see if I cry when Yoda dies. I cry every time.
Okay, so speaking of the continuing, what also really hit me, I don't want to only say that it was kind of this Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 and that kind of thing, but the other thing that really hit me was the performance by Pedro Pascal. That Mando scene where he's like, okay, it's time to go, and then Grogu's like touching his helmet, and then I was shocked. This threw me off. I thought, no, he's not, and he just takes it off, of course, because he's proven several times Grogu is more important than his personal motto or the religion from his sect of Mandalorians and stuff like that. None of that mattered to him, right? And it probably helped having other Mandalorians around him that were like living their lives without helmets, take it off and have a drink and talk to people and whatever. So I think that helped, but it just showed. And it was that whole scene, like, he really hasn't had an opportunity to do any of that, but it was like, this scene here where he's looking at him, and that right there, right, with kind of the semi-teary eyes, he really got that looking at technically a puppet, pulling that off, where he's like, this is the love of a father. And it was this part that right there got me like, in my jaw, in the jaw, because Luke is carrying Grogu away, and then you just see him over the shoulder, and the music where it was all like light.
How did you not cry, Todd?
I don't
as
know.
He was walking away, and the music was growing and growing and growing. It was just that dramatic music, while Mando is looking awkward and broken in a different way, not like the awkwardness of like, oh my god, I just took my helmet off from that other episode where Bill Burr sees him and everything. This was different. This was like his whole life and outlook was changed by this little green guy, and now he's gone. And that's the thing, the camera, they kept just showing Grogu in his face, and it's like he's gone. And that's what I said. I turned to my wife and I'm like, So Grogu's gone. That was the quest. I mean, maybe, but that's it. That's the quest. Now it's on to Mandalore. But like, it's like choking me right now.
Buffy said that one of our listeners right now, she said that Mando closing his eyes just a tiny bit as Grogu touched his face. Apparently that sounds like it touched her, that little reach out that he did to him. And he's like, well, you're right there, right? So like, obviously I think she's making that comment, that fact that probably got to her emotionally. And again, Jen, I even watch this now, I'm getting a little more emotional now talking about it and seeing these pictures than I did watching.
Don't fake it with us.
I'm sorry. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know. Cause again, usually if I don't care about the movie Oblivion, have you ever seen the movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise?
Oh yeah, I love that movie. It's a great movie.
That movie. I'm sorry. I'm sure you liked it. I apologize. My father loves it too. I watched it and going. At the ending, was getting all I didn't care. I like Tom Cruise, just jump in and kill yourself. I was done with the movie. I really didn't like the movie. So again, no emotion because I didn't care. I didn't care what happened to any of the characters. Here, Grogu, Mandalorian. I'm following these characters. I love these characters. I'm buying into these characters. And again, that's what I'm saying. I just think I don't know why. I just think it has to do with the lips that just threw me off. I curse myself for watching and learning about how to make things better in the industry of film because I'm trying to improve myself all the time. And so I think that's the only thing I can say that took me out of it. So, yeah. Yeah, but again, like you're saying, Steve, that was all emotional. Like, it hit all the right notes, the music, the feeling, the look back. Like all those things was so powerful and so strong. And again, the Mando character, not having to say anything, right? Just again with the mask on, you always know his emotions with the mask on. Now it's off, and again, no words, pretty much, right? And just just how powerful that was with his performance. So just hats off to the that talented actor right there.
And that's something that's really distinguishing these last few episodes, and we've talked about it, the last few weeks.
Last 3 weeks, yeah.
It's like the writing and the performances have gone up a level to me. Like in this one too, like everyone, everything Todd's saying, like he did a great job. Everything you're saying, I agree with without the Mando. He's been really, really good. And then another one I thought of too was Gideon, that guy. I really paid attention to him more the last time I watched it, 5 minutes before we started. And his delivery had the classic Star Wars villain delivery where every line is done in a calculated way. Like he's very, very particular with his enunciations. And it's really beautiful. Like he's really sinister. He's very charismatic and sinister at the same time. And when he was in at that whole ending sequence, even before, like right as Luke was showing up, and he was kind of down, like they knocked him down, and he was like, oh, and he's like, with the dark saber, that interplay, and then like the dark troopers, well, me and the child are the only ones that are going to be left, but he was fantastic. But there's a lot of really good performances. And just a real quick to go from there, with all the Luke stuff, the last time I watched this too, I'm like, well, let me really zone into everything else because I thought the episode was a great amount of fun before we even got to Luke. And the whole deal with the dark saber, like the situation that sets up, which is insane. And something we could talk about. And another thing too. The thing with the donor with Grogu and the doctor guy that they captured like in the very beginning, and he said he just made mention of how they needed Grogu's blood, and then Moff Gideon also made comment on that. What did he say? Actually, I wrote that down. What did he say? Oh, that he has rare properties of potential to bring order back to the galaxy. That Grogu has the potential, like his properties. So it really got me thinking, well, what are we kind of brought this up before. What are they doing with Grogu's blood? Like what are they do? Is it going to be are they going to create Snoke, or are they going
and Snoke and Emperor clones, right?
And the Emperor,
I thought that's kind of what
that's what I was guessing. It was either Snoke's creation or Palpatine. They're already initiating getting Palpatine back.
Yeah. Snoke was a failed Emperor clone, basically. He was a puppet. sort of thing. Wasn't that was kind of established in the sequel, in the
Rise of Skywalker?
Skywalker? Wasn't that kind of
it was
that
pretty
dialogue
messy.
happens with
Yeah.
Kylo? He basically there's the Emperor has a throwaway line, something about that, about
right.
Snoke was a puppet or something like that. But yeah, I thought that was kind of pretty much established in the Mandalorian plot that's what they were working on, right?
There was one shot where he had a little.
Yeah. I maybe I took it for granted. I was like, oh, totally, that's what they're doing.
No, that's like the number. I guess like what else? I mean, it's it's still a long time before. It's still 30 years before the Force Awakens, so a lot of stuff can happen. But I guess it has to be. It has to be the initiative, I guess. But
well, I mean, the Snoke clone is got to be started now, right? Because Luke's starting his academy.
Right. Yeah, it's going to take that much time. Right. So assuming that he grows faster like the other clones then too, I guess that would, but Snoke, I mean, I don't know too much on other fans. Jen, you would know more on Snoke and everything, who's already like this decrepit thing by the time we get to The Force Awakens.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to learn much more about Snoke in Last Jedi. Like, I was so excited about finding out more about Snoke, and then
they're just like,
he just died so easily. Awesome.
But the post Snoke death fight scene was so cool with the Praetorian Guards, though. I mean, that was such a cool fight scene.
That was a very cool fight scene.
Speaking of a cool fight scene, Mando and Gideon fighting.
Yeah, the Beskar heating up and everything. That was cool. That was a neat effect.
As soon as I saw Mando leave the ship with that spear on his back, I'm like, oh, we're going to see a fight with him and Gideon. Which I thought was well edited. The choreography was awesome.
Well, it's like old school Star Wars-ish.
Yeah, when I watched again, a web channel watches Corridor Crew. They also have stuntmen react. They bring in stuntmen, and they had. I mentioned this before on a podcast. Maybe Jen, you weren't there, but they had the female there who played the forger, the Mandalorian forger. Remember that thing she beat up the stormtroopers? Well, she was a stunt woman. She did all the fighting, and she said that the Filoni and them like to shoot all their fight scenes from. Some action movies will just do this one shot, move on. Where in Star Wars they like to shoot the whole entire action sequence from multiple angles. So yeah, that's what they said. They like to do. They do the whole entire fight scene from here over and over and over again from different angles. So basically, they get the routine down. They master the routine, so they get the fight scenes like that. So, and the point I was talking about. So yeah, this is one thing they do, which is kind of neat, which would be very tiring for the actors apparently and the stuntmen. They say, but what I loved about this thing was the fact that it shows. Here you have Mando fighting this guy. You can just tell Gideon wasn't super skilled with the weapon, right? Because Mando really took him down pretty fast, which I thought was, I thought it was really great that it showed that Gideon isn't super fantastically skilled with a darksaber. He just kind of won it in a battle.
Well, Mando, right, is like his whole life was training for fighting, right? Where Gideon was like, I have this darksaber, so I
imagine
really
he probably didn't meet much opposition that couldn't be quickly,
dispatched with a darksaber.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
And that's what Buffy was asking in the chat. She's like, sorry if I missed this, but what happens now with the darksaber and the throne?
Well, see, I didn't know anything about the darksaber. So the darksaber is established.
Watch Clone Wars.
I am watching. I am watching it. I'm in season 1. I'm almost finished season 1.
But in Star Wars Rebels,
no, and Rebels, you have to watch Rebels too.
Right, the Star Wars Rebels, Sabine gets the darksaber.
Buffy, I'm sorry, I'm a huge fan of Clone Wars, and anytime I can push somebody into watching Clone Wars, like I plug it so hard.
I'm watching it.
No, there's a lot of really, really good information. Sorry to talk over you, Steve, there about darksaber and stuff in Clone Wars and Rebels and things like that. So we don't really know what's going to happen. With the darksaber and the throne, but it has changed hands a lot in the Star Wars galaxy and things like that. There is a lot of information out there that is canon, just inside of the Clone Wars and the Rebels universe, that it has changed hands several times, and Bo-Katan did have it before. At one point, and Darth Maul had it at one point randomly, but
she was handed it one time without battle.
She
and
was given
just,
it. Yeah, I know. So that was a weird little thing that they were like,
oh, they have a hiccup? Do they have a hiccup? Oh, no.
Because I was like, when I seen that happen, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like in my phone going, wait a minute. Did I remember that wrong?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. That wasn't always handed in battle necessarily.
It wasn't always handed in battle. It was something. It was fought and handed in battle was more of a Rebels thing than a Clone Wars thing. That was more of a, when it was with Sabine, it was very, very tribal. Like by the time it got to Sabine, it was a hugely tribal thing because the Mandalorians weren't, it was just more that tribal warfare kind of thing. Like I'm a leader, I have the glowing stick, follow me kind of thing. Whereas Clone Wars, you still had more of the planet of Mandalore, and you still had a queen. You had a more of a civilization. You know, like you didn't really rule with the glowing stick because there still was an actual, form of government. Kind of thing.
Right,
so I think after like the Rebels is kind of where that got a little more tribal, which is where that has evolved into, which is probably why they are going more that route now. They can probably get away with it now. So anyway, that's probably why.
Question
regarding Buffy says it's on her watch list. Trust me.
Yeah.
So
I strongly encourage it.
So I know very little about the Darksaber except what's been established in Mandalorian. I am watching Clone Wars. Like I said, I'm slogging through season 1. So to me, it looks like the Darksaber is more of a blade opposed to a beam like a lightsaber is. Am I correct on that? It looks like it's narrow. When they turn around, it kind of looks like a blade, not a.
It's like a katana shape.
Yeah, okay.
Thing. But it is like it's in the lightsaber family.
Okay, even the blade, the holster, or whatever, the apparatus itself, it looks like it's a.
It is. It's like rectangular shapes.
Okay.
It's not round. It's flat. So it's gripped like a.
Is it more powerful than a lightsaber?
Not that I would be aware of canonically.
I just think that isn't it?
Oh, hi,
because it's kind of like
Ephraim. I know him. Sorry.
Oh,
hi. Anyway.
No, it's the Darksaber is more of kind of like a symbolic thing for the Mandalorian. So like, I mean, it was owned by the first Mandalorian Jedi.
Yes.
Mandalorian that became a Jedi.
Making sense.
I think that's
the way they were talking about it, it was almost like it had some power, like a mystical sort of thing. Like, oh no, when you have the Darksaber, you have the power, with Mandalore. And I wasn't certain about. Like, how much was that just a symbolic thing where that's just how it is with the blessed Darksaber? You can't accept it, or is it an actual power, or is it no? It's just they mean it's like a traditional, a very they follow the tradition about it. How you're supposed to go about it, like an honor code with the Darksaber.
Like I said, I think that comes more from Rebels. I think that's more of that realm. When they're more scattered, they're more. Because I'm trying to remember.
Because a lot of people aren't going to know. We all know different levels of stuff about this, but a lot of viewers are going to, are watching The Mandalorian and they're not going to be familiar with all of this stuff. So,
Ephraim says he thought it was before the lightsabers and made a plasma.
He might be right about that. Ephraim knows a lot.
Well, thank you, Ephraim.
I'm not sure. He might be right about that.
I thought it came later because when he became, he kind of, it was different from the rest of the lightsabers. It was like unique, obviously.
It does look like more liquidy, and it has like kind of a shimmer to it, where a lightsaber just has a light and kind of pulsates, right? Or this thing just kind of
different.
moves.
I mean, we can Google it. We have the internet at our disposal.
It has like a more solidity to it. In a way, at least in how it appears.
It isn't. Right. I don't know a lot about the origins. That's a blank spot for me. I know more about Bo-Katan and more about that kind of stuff. But I'm my knowledge of its origins are pretty weak. But it would make sense if it was plasma.
Well, it totally looks different because it doesn't glimmer. It definitely has a different texture to it for sure. But it seems to cut through things like butter. Plasma was brought up in the last episode.
That makes sense.
There you go.
But it's really cool, though, kind of how they set this all up for, now the Siege of Mandalore, whatever, going into season 3 next year. Next year.
It's so far away.
It's like this. It's October of 2021. Like, forget it. Like, it's too. But, so they've set up the story. I'm looking at it. How come she has to battle the Mando now? And I just think it makes for more tension, a better story of them taking that Star Destroyer to Mandalore. You know what I mean? So, and I wonder if everyone's going to stay on the ship. Like, is Cara Dune going to stay on the ship? Or is she going to go back to her job?
I think she's going to take Gideon back.
Right.
Getting back to Navarro?
So, and maybe she's going to be in that Ranger series or whatever, that Marshall series some guy came up with.
That was totally you. I wouldn't believe anything else.
If only I was
talented. Tweeted that at Disney, and a week later we get that announcement.
Yeah, I saw some
totally
text from Filoni and Favreau, and I said, "Hey, this Star Wars reporter has a great idea of Marshals. Just change the name."
See, there it is.
See that?
Star Wars Marshals.
Yep.
You heard it here, folks. People first. Here, folks. People. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. I don't say.
I just didn't send them a treatment. Maybe that's why they're like, we'll do it. We'll call it Rangers. They have better logo too.
You sold it so well on this. That's all it was.
I thought it was funny that Gideon tried to shoot Grogu.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then he tries to shoot himself.
Yeah, he just goes shoot crazy. He's just like, nope.
I didn't catch that. Did he really? Was he trying to?
He put the blast trigger,
and Mando knocked it out of his hand.
I remember she knocked it out of his hand.
Cara Dune knocked it
out. Oh wow!
I'm an editor, guys. That's my job. That's my formal job. Like, I'm a producer, director, whatever, but I'm an editor first. And that scene was very, very choppy. Like, who got shot? I have no idea which Mandalorian got shot. It was, you didn't see the person fall. Yeah, it was very, very choppy, I thought. Like, they missed a couple shots to make it more seamless. That's why I thought
right. There was a bunch quick there with that.
Yeah, it happened. Like, the whole gun to the head, I got all that stuff. It's just when he shot first, getting shot first, I don't know who he hit. If that person fell down, is that person dead?
He hit the other Mandalorian,
the other Mando, the other fighter girl.
Her name, but she took a shot, and I thought she got hit. I caught a little. I thought she got hit in the leg because she kind of reacted to it, and then got hit in the armor.
I don't remember seeing her face again, or
she's standing at the end.
Oh, she okay?
She was there at the end,
sure, or something like that. Because I ended up looking that up because I was like, was she on did she die?
Dead? Yeah. I just thought it got a little messy there for my liking. I like to know what's going on when I see my action.
The wrestler, she's a professional wrestler. The other Mandalorian.
Was she really?
Yeah, she was in the same. You might know this too. She's in the same. She came out of the Cara Dune
MMA.
Did MMA.
Yeah.
She's a WWE wrestler.
Was she really?
Oh, okay. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
One's more sports entertainment. One's sports.
Well, I know that she could probably punch me really hard. That's either one of those wrestling things, and probably.
You better put on your Beskar armor.
So, where was that one Mandalorian guy? Remember in the one episode it was
there.
Oh yeah,
what
happened to him? He's
on a different mission, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Cramped their style.
I really liked. This is something I had forgotten that had happened. I really liked when they showed up with Boba in the bar and Bo-Katan being like, "I've heard your voice a million times."
That was funny. Kind
of thing like that.
That was so good.
Nasty reaction. I loved it. That was so funny.
Yeah, that was, and that little fight was pretty cool too.
It was that was
a
not everyone is nice. Not everyone has great little. Anyway, I just thought it was fun. It was a neat way to do that.
It was a nice entrance when Mando and Boba Fett come into the bar. Mm-hmm. It must be, people are staring, and I'm thinking, man, they must be thinking, holy crap, there's 2 Mandalorians. Oh no, there's 4 Mandalorians. Like, would you not be a little worried about what's going down?
Yeah,
right.
Probably Mandalorian. in one room.
And just to say really quick again, and we talked about this too last time with his episodes, but man, is Tamura Morrison perfect as for Boba Fett. His voice now to me is perfect.
So good. Yeah,
He's
it's
perfect.
so good.
Even now when it's the helmet on, just what he looks like, I'm completely sold with him. He's so perfect.
I know I wasn't on the episode when you guys were talking about like his first, appearance and stuff, but that beat stick that he uses, holy cow. Like that was insane.
Stick, yeah.
Oh, and speaking of Boba, we have to talk about the ending, the after credits. Like, people haven't seen to the end of credits. I'm sure everybody has, but like, come on, how awesome was that?
That was so cool.
I thought the best thing was he had Bib Fortuno sitting down there. He's so big. He hasn't moved. He hasn't moved in 5 years, right? He's just so fat.
He took over and I'm the king and I'm eating everything.
So funny.
I loved that. I was dying.
Boba, you're alive, man. I heard things too. I'm being all chummy with you. Don't kill me. It was awesome.
I was dying. I know.
There anyone so Salacious Crumb? Was he there at all?
I don't think so.
He wasn't there, but there's a lot. So I'm guessing that they stopped feeding the Gamorrean guards, and Bib Fortune was eating all the food. Because man, those guys are skinny now. Remember that box guys are skinny? Like these guys are so skinny. Like, come on, guys, put some meat on. Like, you're not protecting anybody.
He's got an aerobics program for them now, so they're not just like lazy guards; they're like fighting guards.
I'm a little disappointed that they're not big and chubby. I'm going to say that I'm a little disappointed on that because that's not a Gamorrean guard. Come on,
they're on a I was going to say South Beach diet, but they're on like a South Tatooine diet. It's all protein, and
I'm guessing Bib Fortune eats all the nachos. I'm guessing and doesn't share.
Yeah,
and that guy was big. It was awesome.
It was so
here's the thing, right? So Boba Fett comes back to the series and he's like helping Mando. I'm like, oh, noble Boba Fett. Nuh-uh, right? So now he's underworld lord.
Yeah,
Boba Fett now. So he's gone. So it's not going to be. And this is the kind of series I've said I love. I like seeing the non-hero epic, the underworld of the Star Wars universe, and this is going to be a perfect opportunity if that's how it's going to go down. Because I'm sure he's not going to be like, I'm taking over the underworld. I'm turning us all good.
Yeah.
There was a book series I loved years ago, and it's become extended universe now. It's not part of the main canon or whatever. I don't know if you guys ever read it, but it was the Bounty Hunters Guild series or whatever.
I think I've heard that.
Shoot, it was like a 3-book series. And it starts out with Boba Fett being rescued from the Sarlacc pit by Dengar. And it's like the adventures of the Bounty Hunters Guild.
I think that's Tales
of
the Mos Eisley Cantina. There's that book.
Yeah,
I think it's Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, it was a 3 series, this particular one. And they were so fun. And I loved the stories because they were crazy. You know what I mean? Like the Bounty Hunter series were like, just wild. And like, I remember one of the things like, the Mos Eisley Cantina doesn't allow droids, like the whole thing. And the whole reason they don't allow droids is droids don't drink. So IG-88 is like hunting a bounty and he goes in. And so he has to keep like buying a drink every 10 minutes or something like that. That's the way he's allowed to like sit at the bar, is like he just has to keep like paying for a drink and like just funny things like that. But they were such cool stories. And I loved them so much. And like, that would be so cool to see those stories, about like the craziness. Cause the Bounty Hunters Guild, it was there were constant upsets, like who's on charge and somebody gets murdered, of course, and somebody steals somebody else's cargo and somebody backstabs somebody, like that kind of stuff. It's what happens. But
that was the first idea I think that Lucas had for a live action was the Tales for like an underworld. He always said that he had like 100 scripts written or something crazy like that.
There was that one series that they kind of came out with. It was like kind of leaked images or something behind the scenes, and you're right, like 50 plus scripts.
Yeah, it was going to be the underworld of Star Wars, like on Coruscant, and he was talking about that kind of like that, like bounty hunters and such, and obviously never happened. So maybe they're going to try to make up for that.
Well, what a great opportunity with this Boba Fett series, like to bring him back in. Like, how cool would it be to see Dengar? come in, right, and actually do something.
Yeah.
How could we see Bosk do something, right? Like I would go nuts if Bosk was there, right? Like
Yeah, it
he's
was
so
killer.
bringing Hammerhead from the cantina, right? Like like I mentioned this before, Hammerhead. Like, but again, I think a missed opportunity. I would love to see a series or something that shows things from the stormtroopers' perspective. Actually, give them some credit, show them how bad they how badass they are, or how much they should be feared. I think that'd be really, really an interesting type of thing to roll out. Like, not a good guy story. It's a bad guy story, but it's telling perspective of the bad guys are good guys. You know what I'm saying? It'd be kind of neat how they police the universe and sort of thing, and just give a way to show stormtroopers aren't terrible. They're actually thing to be feared, and that they're actually not incompetent.
That's our show, man. We'll make more stormtroopers.
The only problem I could see with that is if you then humanize the stormtroopers completely. When you look on the other side, when the rebels or resistance or whoever is blasting them dead, now they're just not faceless. When, like I said, when I was a kid, I thought they were robots when I first saw Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hey, well, they did it all the time in Clone Wars. They kept wiping out clones all the time on the TV show. I'm watching it all the time.
Yeah,
but there's
a lot of
tons
death.
of clones.
That is one thing about that cartoon. There's a lot of like actual death, not like kids' cartoon where it's like, oh, they fell over, kind of off screen stuff. Like, oh no, like there is like, oh, he did kind of stuff. Like,
yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just, we all know what the clones are. But they're expendable for some reason. But I see your point, Steve. It's a really, really valid point. You don't want to make it look like the rebels are the bad guys. Okay, that makes I buy.
Well,
that.
I'm just saying, like, if they then go to where the rebel side of things, and you remember how cool TK-882 was, and then all of a sudden you see rebels blasting them, like, 4 people running through a Star Destroyer, just blasting them willy-nilly, you're going to be like, oh, man. I really hate that.
You could still do the show and not make them look like heroes. There's many TV shows you're watching where you're following these characters. They're not good characters, right? I'm just trying to think of. There's many TV shows right now that show the darker side of something. Like let's say what's that one? Again, I haven't watched an episode, but I don't think there's any good guys in it. The one with the Harleys, the motorcycle gang is on forever.
I know what you mean.
Yes, what's it called? Ron Perlman was in it.
Is that the Sons of Anarchy?
Thank you, Sons of Anarchy. Like, are any of those guys good guys? I don't think they were. Right? It's all about the underbelly. You follow these characters. Like, you still have the stormtroopers doing terrible things, going in and wiping things out, sort of thing. But there's following orders. I don't know. I'd like to see them showcase stormtroopers not being totally incompetent.
Yeah. Well, Jen, you're part of the 501st.
Yeah, come on,
Jen. Perspective, right? 501st consider themselves the heroes, and the rest of them are rebel scum. So, would that make a good show?
I mean, yeah. I don't.
She's like, wait, we're the heroes. What's going on?
Yeah. I don't understand the question. No.
No. Would it make a great TV series?
I think it could. I think it would have to be. I think it could. I think I brought this up before. There was a book that was good that talked about like these 2 young kids, and like one goes to the academy and becomes a stormtrooper, and like one grows up and becomes a rebel, and like they fight each other in the Battle of Jakku. And it was cool because it like tells both sides of the story. It was a cool book.
See? That's a really interesting way. You have the good guy and the bad guy.
Yeah. They're from the same planet,
See?
And that was interesting, but I don't know that you could go straight only tell the bad guy story. Like I'm trying to follow you. I have never seen Sons of Anarchy, but I get what you're saying on that. Like bad guys crew.
I know I watched TV shows where I hated all the characters.
Yeah.
Star Wars has been such a
Sopranos. There you go, Sopranos.
I didn't watch the Sopranos either.
I never watched an episode, but nobody on the Sopranos were a good guy, and it was had a huge following. Everybody was scum. Everybody was bad. When they all died at the end, everybody expected it, and nobody cried for them because they're all bad guys. But again, you can't say you can't do a series from a bad guy perspective because you all know these guys are bad. Mm-hmm. Just you have to do the same kind of style. and get that point across. Again,
I think
never watched an
it's
episode of it.
totally something that could be done, but I think you'd have to narrow it to a specific thing, like
Yes.
bad guys within a certain like branch of the Empire, or within a certain realm, or within a certain, like.
What about Operation Scorch? Was that Operation Scorch? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Cinder.
yeah.
There's a good
Cinder.
thing you're building up for Operation Scorch, right? Sort of thing.
Cinder,
Like,
yeah, something.
oh, Cinder.
Cinder.
Thank you, Cinder. Sorry, I know it's an
Something
S word,
like that,
Yeah.
or like about an elite task force, something like
Something.
that. Like you're.
I'm not saying. I don't know
Or,
how.
like, or about the Death Troopers. You could do something about like
The
the
Dark
Death Troopers, or like the Death Troopers were not the Dark Troopers. They're the Death Troopers, the ones in Rogue One or something
Yeah,
like that.
the really tall
black
ones.
armor.
Yeah,
those guys.
they're the elite.
Or what about a couple of comical scout troopers?
Yeah.
Bring back
Yeah,
Jason's again.
Yeah, the if you think though, newer Star Wars movie, that's one thing the Disney era has done though. They have blurred those lines a bit, and that was with intent. Like we've seen a little more of the bad guys, like and exactly, even those two scout troopers, and then Rogue One, even though it ended up still really being just about all like rebel. I remember them talking about that movie as if they wanted to show you the guys in the trenches on both sides, and I remember them talking about it like they did want to humanize the stormtroopers even for Rogue One. And I remember reading about that and them talking about that. Although in hindsight, I think Rogue One still really, you got the grunts and everything, but you still really, it was, vast majority was the rebel, the good guy side. But there's been a concerted effort to humanize the stormtroopers a little bit. They've gone a little bit with it. Like, even like you said, the scout troopers were hysterical. They're just a couple of guys, like on the job there.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
You know what though? I watched A New Hope though, and you remember I'd forgotten about it like as many times as I've seen that movies. And when Obi-Wan goes to shut down their main reactor, and they're like, "You think it's a drill?" Nah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that whole thing. Like I had forgotten about that little bit of dialogue where they're
And
just
they're talking about like a weapon. Did you see the new whatever? Yeah, some of the other guys were telling me about it. They were like a couple guys, and they actually even said
they're
that.
guys.
Like, yeah.
That'd be good to happen on Tatooine, and like every week they at least let one group of people that they're looking for go by.
Mhm.
Like so and so's wanted, and they stop them and always let them go away. These aren't the criminals you're looking for.
Well, didn't they have a conversation recently, or am I making this up? That where they're talking about somebody says, "I knew somebody was killed on the Death Star," and they said, "Well, which one?" Did you guys see that?
Yeah, that was in this episode.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so I thought that was kind of like, ooh,
That was another great little scene actually, because that
was,
guy
wasn't it? Yeah.
That was
toying
the
with
opener
Cara
on the
Dune.
shuttle.
He's
It
like,
was
we
the
lost
opener.
millions were killed, and he's like,
That's
oh, I
right.
see that tear with Alderaan.
Alderaan.
And I was wondering,
That's what it was. That's what it was. Right.
Yeah.
how
That's
did
so
he
good.
know she was from Alderaan though? I was like,
Yeah,
I guess
the
the
rebel tier or
type of the
whatever.
tier.
oh,
That's
that's
the-
right. All right, I'm an idiot.
She has the tattoo.
I forget about
So
that.
it's
Yeah.
funny, right? Where you've never seen that, where the stormtrooper, or like someone from the Empire, was taking a dig at her about blowing up Alderaan. Like that's really dirty.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. That's what
That was a
it
cool
was so
scene.
good. So good.
That's
So
where
actually-
the Mandalorian's gotten better, man. With those little stories within the major story that we've been seeing lately.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
And just how it, you're right, Jason, how it just links up to it, right? Whether it's a character or an alien or a creature, it always, when it points to the film franchise, it just gets you all kind of giddy, right? And so that's, when they're making those references, that's pretty sweet. I was just saying that, Steve, so I don't know if you saw the comments, somebody was asking about if you can put the audio into a podcast thing called, where'd it go? Is it in the comments? Did you see that one, Steve? Oh, and Podkicker. So, a person named Blaine Sward asked if you can submit your audio to Podkicker.
Oh, Blaine.
Podkicker.
Hey,
The man
Blaine,
for you,
just
Steve. It's the
watching.
man for you.
Podkicker. Now we do have, this just recently that we've been doing it on YouTube, and I do have the audio that I've been going to be. We normally uploaded the audio to SoundCloud and Spotify, and I'm just catching up with it with the audio only from these podcasts. But I'll have to look into what that is. I'm old, so all this new fandangle technology the kids are using.
I'm just as old as you are, man. We're both old.
I'm like, because I'm still like telling people to go follow us on Facebook, and apparently that's like old man stuff. So
my kids make fun of me for
now it's Instagram, right?
Yeah,
Where
Instagram.
old people argue his Facebook.
Hey, speaking of, I'll just do that plug now. So all you kids can follow us on, of course, this channel. If you'll subscribe to us here, we'll become big and famous, and Lucasfilm will want us to come and star in a movie.
We'll
and
be
of course,
stormtroopers.
that little symbol in the right corner, that's what old people go to. It's called Facebook. So you can follow us there.
I follow you there.
Down
Your
below
mom
that is
can follow us there.
your mom. And the thing on the far left is a place where people take pictures of themselves doing fun things or booty shots. We don't have those.
Or your food.
Or food or booty shots. We don't have either of those.
We need more Star Wars booty shots for sure.
I will work on Todd to supply some booty shots. But until then, if you can follow us, that'd be great. And then you can keep up on all the latest news that we post. And booty shots, maybe. I can't make any promise.
Please no.
So Jen, I just noticed your Christmas sweater that's the Empire. Oh, see, I didn't notice until right now. That's so cool. They have candy canes for blasters.
I know, isn't it amazing?
That's the best Christmas sweater ever.
See they're tiny little TIE fighters in the background on the thing.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed on the shoulder there when Steve put the picture up there, I could see the logo stood out, and it's the Imperial symbol. That's so sweet. They look like snowflakes. That's awesome. My new favorite Christmas sweater.
Right, guys. I think we've come to the end of it. Jen sent a picture, and I really had to show this, and it kind of sums up my feelings, and I'm sure everyone, about this episode and the series, the past 2 seasons.
I love it so much.
Yes, absolutely. They deserve medals.
Totally deserve medals by some hairy person that doesn't get a medal at all. So wonderful. This is something that those two deserve.
Absolutely. They have, I'm sure they have millions of people who are thanking them for treating this series with the love and care of a fan, right? They've done a fantastic job with it. I saw somebody recently this week after they watched the final episode of Mandalorian, and they were so mad at the last trilogy that why couldn't the love and attention been put into the last 3 trilogy movies like they are with this, right? Being true and doing good storylines, right? So it's a valid complaint.
That's what happens when you plan ahead and then do it. But I don't know.
I know, like maybe not wing it or next time. Like
people that are nerds that like it and stuff.
Jen had something to say. You're okay. You loved it, didn't you, Jen?
You have to also remember Carrie Fisher passed away at a really inconvenient time.
Absolutely.
I'm not making excuses, but I'm sure that there was a really different set of movies out there that we'll never get to see.
Well, see, I think the mistake is bringing Rian Johnson, who kind of threw everything out from Force Awakens to write something totally different, and then they have to try and fix the second movie to tie it with the first one.
I don't know how much of that was because one of his stars died. That's, to me, that's my whole, I'll never know how much he threw out.
But we have the Mandalorian and
we do. That's right.
Seasons.
Exactly. So I choose to just love all of Star Wars.
And you should. I love Star Wars too. I just love to hate Last Jedi. I apologize if I do. I love to hate it.
Okay, guys.
Merry Christmas, guys. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy holiday to everyone. This will probably be the last podcast until after Christmas at some point, so that we can recover. And
I thought we were going to watch the holiday special.
Oh, yeah.
Comment on it.
Maybe we should do that at some point.
Show you? Wait, did you see? I have.
Oh, wait. Hang on a second.
What's that? You have a DVD copy of it?
I do.
How do you have a DVD copy of that?
I have just like a physical copy of the disc, but somebody on Etsy made the covers, the printable covers.
That's never been
Like,
released.
yeah, I know. So it's somebody on Etsy makes the like a printable cover
That is so awesome.
like for the
No,
disc.
that's awesome.
We should again. We said we should watch it all the way through. Can't
Not all
fast
the way
forward
through.
it.
I don't. I need some booze to make it all the way.
Booze is okay. Booze is okay.
Yeah,
You had to try to make it through.
Because we should watch.
Oh.
We just comment and tear it apart. It'd be like watching the mystery.
So
Mystery Science
bad. That's the
3000.
one Star Wars that I can admit.
No. You love all Star Wars.
I heard.
have to watch
I
Yeah,
heard.
that's true.
I've got a little heart thing. I can't do the heart thing.
You were kept to that.
Okay. Well,
So-
we'll have to try to figure something out. They would do a watch along.
I
A
think
watch
we have
along. Okay, I wish I drank because I would be all over that. Okay. Well,
I
guys,
don't drink either, so
so to everyone here and everyone watching, hey guys, thanks for doing this with me, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all that.
and hurry up October.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Oh God.